Now let me show you something happened to my car during the past Friday. So till I record, this was still around. So look at this battery sign here. I stop sign here. So once I start ECU without pressing the brakes, these two icons should disappear immediately, but then it seems like, it's just there. And look at my mileage, it's around 15,000. I use this car quite a lot, but it has been my 6 months ownership, and I just serviced last month in PJ. So less than a month this thing happened. So I'm gonna explain my bitter and sweet moment about this car later. So on average, I went back to service center around 1.5 months interval. Yeah, that's pretty awful to own a Mazda. Let me start the engine. So once I start the engine, the thing just disappears. So I'm gonna disable this. Or for your information, I always disable this unless I stop at a long traffic light. Then I'm gonna activate it, like say 2 minutes wait of traffic lights. That is just, yeah. Let me explain what happened previously. Since I collected my car in March, just right before MCO. Okay, so I'm rolling out to the long service center. So Penang has 4 service centers. One in Butterworth, one in Sungai Tiram, one in Juru Auto City, and one in Jelutong. So I've encountered 3 of the worst service center, Mazda Service Centre. Okay. 2 of them, which they mess up my undercarriage panels from Juru Auto City and Sungai Tiram. Now, I explain why I visited Mazda Service Centre 1.5 months. Every 1.5 months. So since when I collected the car, it was MCO, so I managed to get my first service at 3,000 kilometers, which is about in May. Then 2 weeks after, the AEB pops up, activated, and grabs me. So I requested to have a check as what the user manual suggested. So I went back to the place where I bought my car, which is Juru Auto City, and they checked, say nothing wrong. And also since day one I collected my car, I feel my brakes was very grabby. So you need to press very hard, then you only feel that it's starting to bite. Now this happens in the second generation first batch Volvo XC90, and you need to step more to engage the brakes so that it started to bite. Now this is a part of the electronics brake system where the brake energy regeneration was activating in the Volvo XC90, but unfortunately in the CX-5 it doesn't have this feature, but it feels grabby. So during the check of the AEB system, everything, I also requested them to check the brake system. Then it told me it's fine. Then I was like, okay. But then it started to feel very weird during the drive after the service. So that was happening around 4,000 kilometers. So 4 days later, 4 days, kid you not, 4 days later, my undercarriage panel just fall from Bermaz. Out of no reason, I collected my car. Then I was like going down the ramp, Then when I was, tapping the touch and go, then exited the car park, I didn't wind up my window immediately, of course. Then I heard a weird noise, like there was something dragging underneath my undercarriage. So I pull over, have a look. Then fortunate enough, there was something falling off the undercarriage, which is the soundproofing panel. So that caught me a surprise because I was rolling out from the car park like in less than 5 minutes. So previously, before I entered the car park, I didn't notice this. I was fetching my two friends. Yeah, that was pretty embarrassing. So they was like, wow, that's quite a new car, and shit happens. Okay, and furthermore, it was 4 days after I rolling out from the service center. So I was, of course, disappointed. Told my SA about this. Then they asked me, are you able to roll to the nearest service center, which was Sungai Tiram? Then later, having some sort of discussion, they asked me to call my insurance. Then, but it was supposed not to happen. So I asked them, is this still safe to drive? Because I need to put both of my friends back to the office, which was like 5 kilometers away. It's quite near. Then yeah, I was literally dragging the whole panel off the street. 30 km/h. I didn't go fast, cause then yeah, then later I decided to sorry, just now my phone just slipped off. Believe I didn't use this holder quite a long time, and I didn't video quite a long time. So where was I? Yeah, talking about the undercarriage panel. So another, I pulled over and I decided to call up my SA. I told them, it was 4 days, it was not supposed to happen, it must be your responsibility. So they asked, the mobility service team came, just like what Autoparia offer or BMW Malaysia did offer. And the incident happened at 1 p.m. So they told me they will reach at 2 p.m. but I ended up they reached at 3, which I already quite pissed off at the time. Then of course I didn't lose my chill. I said, this thing happened, can you fix it? Then said, it's now fixed. Then that moment I didn't know what happened. Of course I saw they tie something up. Then they asked me to roll to the nearest service center, which is Sungai Tiram. Then immediately I went over. Of course I didn't back to office for work anymore, because when something happened to your car, you just can't go back to work, right? And as a car guy, you must be worried as fuck. Then I went to Sungai Tiram. They check. Look, they took more than half an hour to check, and they decided not to replace the panel, and they didn't even decided to fix it. Okay, they just jacked up my car, and they quote me 362 ringgit for that panel. Yeah, kid you not. Initially, it was supposed to quote at 340 plus, but I'm not sure. They slashed it, they wrote 362. Yeah, that's the price. And I didn't pay for it. I said, you know what? Let me call up my SA, and I called up my SA, and they said, I hit water puddles, I crashed my car. What sort of nonsense coming up? Of course, I didn't crash my car that time. If I would crash, my shaft had been broken, my bumper has been wrecked, my rim has been bent, so that was totally unacceptable. And I swear to you, I won't go back to that SA and Juru Auto City and Sungai Tiram Service Centre anymore. No way, this is too much to me. So while I was buying my car, you know, some sort of incident happened as well. That on a later story. Then I have my SA Grace in Glen Mary. I called her up immediately. Then she said, you know, unfortunately things happened to you again. Yeah, again. Because she already knew my SA was screwed up during I bought this car. Yeah. Then I called her, I told her what happened. She asked me call the customer sales support in Penang. And best part is the customer service in Penang, you know, doesn't even pick up the call. So I called Glen Mary instead, customer support, service support in Glen Mary. So they asked me to file a complaint. Yes, I did complain, and I escalated this issue to the customer sales support in Bermaz. Told them, you know, back then it was 3 months old, this car. Then you are not supposed to see this thing happen. And of course, I called them up. I said, you know, this is not convincing for me to service my car in Juru Auto City or Sungai Tiram. No way I'm going back, because I'm pretty screwed up that time. My brakes, they didn't fix it. Then they even screwed up my undercarriage panel, which I'll put a photo up, which you will see in my Instagram story or anything. There's a screw that is still left there, that is unscrewed. And I can deduce pretty much they mess up the panel. So 1 or 2 weeks no, I think immediately immediately the service SA in PJ was like replying my email and responded to this incident. They even called me up, you know, asked me what happened. And I said, you know, it's unpleasant for me to bear this undercarriage panel at my own cost. When it falls, just falls like this, is unacceptable, right? Then the brakes, they did it for me. So the email chain was like going on, you know. They said they PJ, they can't do much about this. Then they have escalated to the service advisor manager, customer service manager, something like that. Then ended up 2 weeks later, Prima Madu Juru called me up. They said, you know, they even challenged me. They asked me, what is AEB? You know, this sort of customer service, are you expecting this? Then I was like, you are challenging me and you are doing this not your own willing, you know. Then even they said they was doing the undercarriage panel, they fixed this in their own willing, but to me it's not sincere. Then after they replaced the panel, everything, they said, you know, let's keep this thing clear. Stop the email chain to Glen Mary or PJ. Then I was like, of course, at that moment I said, okay. But ended up, you know what? Of course I didn't, right? If you are a consumer, are you happy with this kind of service? No. Then the PJ SA called me up and they said, is everything okay? You know? Then I told them, of course I'm not happy. Then later on they replied, you know, you can come back if you are still concerned with your car, you can send it back to PJ anytime. Then I said, you know, let's do this in 10,000 kilometer service, which is supposed to be the second service. Okay. Then around 2 months later, which was in early September, made an appointment because my marriage was there. Then I saw the COVID-19 cases was like, you know, getting stable back then. Then I sent it back to PJ. Then fortunate enough, I did enjoy my car. It was a bitter and sweet moment despite all this nonsense. Then Then I sent it to PJ. I enjoyed the long distance drive. It was comfortable. It was fast, of course, but fuel consumption not as good as BMWs, but it was good. That is another story again. Then what is this trooper doing? Then send it back to PJ. They sort out everything. Oh, another thing. Just right before I sent my car to PJ, the rear left C pillar panel, the black panel just cracked. Yeah, for some reason. Then I even installed BBF. So my brother caught this. Then he said, you know, hey, why your car was having a blister? So I was like, whoa. Went and checked. The internal piece cracked. I also show you the picture later. Then when in PJ, they just, you know, I just told them, you know, my brakes, my gearbox was having a jerk at 20 km/h, 30 km/h. Wow, cut into my lane, bro. Then yeah, so they replaced immediately, no second thoughts. So they relearned my gearbox, but I'm still seeing this jerk. Maybe because the software didn't read my, you know, at times I tekan, at times I was behaved, so maybe it confused. Then the first, second, third gear, 0 to 25, 30 km/h, there's some sort of jerk when you don't warm up the car properly. So usually once I waited the indicator to went above the blue sign, right, then I'll start to move. But usually I'll warm up around 5 minutes during my first start of the day. Then yeah, I think the panels, the C pillar crack, gearbox, yeah, brakes. That day PJ told me there's air pockets inside the brake. They managed to capture it. Now this is real serious issue. I've driven this car for like that moment before service. I serviced at around 12,000 km because during the AEB check they did change my engine oil, so the suggested service interval was at 14 plus. Then I went it at 14 plus 1,000 kilometers. Then I went it at 12,000, 13,000. Yeah, I sent in early because usually I go driving, so I decided to go early and have my engine oil replenished. Then they checked the brake system having air pockets. Now this was very dangerous because when I traveling down in Ipoh, just right after the Mara tunnel, I did realize I didn't go fast, of course, because I know that time it was wet, and I know my tires is, the stock tire is piece of shit in crap in wet. So yeah, I was behaved that time. Then I need to press harder to engage the brakes. Then normal service, gearbox relearn, just get to a slower lane and chill. Then today, I believe something happened to my battery. Yeah. And usually in Mazda CX-5 Club Malaysia, right, if you saw this time, saw these two signs coming up at the same time, then your battery must have issue, or either the charge is not there. Now it caught me a surprise because it was less than 6 months, 15,000 kilometers. So I'm stuck in Penang, of course. Yeah, as you know, the COVID-19 cases in Tang Valley just spiked up. So during the incident, during this battery warning sign come out, right, I immediately called. No, I didn't call. I WhatsApp my 2SA in PJ. Then they give me the same response: send your car into the service center immediately. So that happened during Friday night. So I know my car, the battery didn't deplete so fast, but it's just getting weak. So I decided to, you know, send in on weekdays because weekend I'm tied up. So yeah. So Saturday I also called up Julutong. I said, you know, I have this sort of issue. Then PJ advised me to, you know, send in. I won't send in into any service center in Penang except Julutong. This is the last one I trust. So based on my previous experience, no, I'm not sending back to the other three. The Butterworth one was like, no way. Then I called them up. Then they said, you know, you can walk in anytime, so feel free to do so. And that's about it. That's about my story about why I enter the Mazda Service Centre every 1.5 months. Yeah. Feel like I'm driving a German Conti car, like say Volkswagen. Tell you what, before I bought this, I did consider the Mazda B8, but I didn't expect Mazda. I need to went into the service center every 1.5 months. You know, pretty like what previous Volkswagen or Audi group, VAG group has, but yeah. So I'm just gonna enjoy the drive to the service center. So see you next time.